to continue a conversation that we've had going since the summer. I think that one of the most important parts about the potential for the R.E. Lee Elementary name change is community involvement and engagement. And not only, as I stressed in the last meeting when we discussed this, public hearing, of course, is an opportunity for the public to let their concerns be voiced, but I think that there's a greater need for our community, especially, to have some quality dialogue between stakeholders in our community. So we have discussed the opportunity for there to be a community meeting prior to our public hearing, so that the board has an opportunity to hear some quality discussion from both sides, as well as the public hearing, which is usually just a one-sided presentation to the board by a community member. I think having a chance to have some dialogue is a good opportunity as well for the community to feel like that they are involved in the decision, since it is for them. So I move that all 7 school board members appoint 2 people from the community, from our district preferably. If you don't have somebody from your district and you would like for them to serve in the committee, I'm sure that's fine. So the school board members, 2 of their representatives, so that would leave us 3 each, so 21 members would meet for a community meeting and discussion on this topic on Wednesday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. And following that, they'll have a public hearing on December 16th at 6:30 p.m.
I second.
And that would give the community 2 options to communicate with us, but thank you.
I'm not sure I like the idea of this initial school board internal forum thing. What we should do is have 2 public forums to allow people to come out and present their data, their information, their requests. This is because we've already gotten a lot of input as board members from constituents individually. That's good baseline data. We don't need to handpick 2 people and provide just 14 additional opinions formally in a session. So I think that's a waste. So I won't support the motion as presented, but I would support it if you had 2 open forums for the people to come out and speak. I think it's okay that we all represent our distinct communities and provide opinion/perspective at both of those forums, not just the one that's presumed to be one-sided. None of them need to be one-sided. So the essence of it is that we just need as much citizen input as possible. And if you provide 2 dates for the citizen input publicly, you're doing a good thing over time. The timeline is acceptable, but certainly no closed session or concise session. I don't mean that formally. But that closed session, I don't think would provide any value to anybody.
There's no closed session in the motion, just to make it clear.
I categorized the term closed in my statement. It's not a literal closed meeting, but it's a closed meeting in the sense that all you're doing is saying, hey, give us 14 more opinions. To me, that's a waste. So if you leave it as is, Livingston will not support it, but the timeline generally is acceptable, and if we can have 2 public forums, that would be good. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Grampp. Did you want to add some clarification?
I was just clarifying because he has not understood the motion clearly, and that's not at all what was expressed. There's nothing closed. It is an open discussion between community members, so they're dialoguing with each other. We're just observing and can comment on it. And a public hearing is by design one-sided. The public speaks to the board cannot speak back. So the difference between the public hearing and the discussion time is so that community members can discuss with each other.
Did you want to respond to that, sir? Go ahead. Okay, well, I wanted to respond to what Mr. Twigg said. In the last meeting when Dr. Daniels brought up the motion, sir, you were the one that was encouraging this forum. So now a departure from it is confusing to me. You were adamant that we would have this forum. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I am perplexed as to why you would say that now.
I never asserted that there should be a tight forum with just representatives. I don't value that representative thing. So that wasn't me you're talking about.
Well, okay. Well, I know that there's 7 of us up here, and I know who everybody looks like. And I know what I heard, sir. But at any rate, we have a motion on the floor. Go ahead.
But it wasn't called a community, it was called a committee, and that's what you were, so it had a different title to it, but I think it was the same thing.
Absolutely.
So this would be, because it would be a board meeting, it would be considered a school board meeting, we have to get an agenda out, we have to publicize it. That means the discussion would be among the people that we invite, but other community members could be in attendance to hear the discussion. Maybe not part of the discussion at that point in time, but then they would be able to come back to a week later for the public hearing. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Dr. Daniels, and then we'll go back to Mr. Twigg.
I just want to thank my colleague for bringing this forth, because I think it is important that we as a community come together and respect our differences, because we do need to work together. We're, like a board member said earlier, we're Spotsylvania. Let's get together, and I want to say let's get it together. That's really what I want to say. But we should definitely try to use this forum to have a dialogue, because that's what we need in this community. So I do support my colleagues' motion for that. Public hearings do allow the public an opportunity to come and speak before us. Yes, we've heard, or we've gotten a plethora of emails. I read just about all of them. Some were against, some were for. But the public hearing is a way for the public to come out and provide us feedback. I don't see the need for 2 public hearings. I see the need for a community forum where there's conversations back and forth about how to move this forward. And then the public hearing is open to the public, where they can then come in and provide comment based on what they've heard or based on the conversations in the community. So I do support Mrs. Grampp's
Motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Go ahead, Mr. Twigg.
is it the intent to, in the open forum to the public, for us not to say anything and just hear people out?
And when it's a public forum or a public hearing, all we can do is listen. We cannot make any interjection at all. With our forum that we have set up with 2 members from each school board member, plus the school board member, we can actually have dialogue and engage those that are speaking and those that we've appointed to be with us and those that were not appointed based off the agenda.
Right.
Okay, so we'll call for the vote. It'll be a roll call vote. I'll start with Ms. Shelley.
Shelley, aye.
Shelley votes aye. Mr. Twigg.
Twigg votes no.
Twigg, no. Dr. Daniels.
Dr. Daniels vote yes.
Ms. Grampp.
Grampp, aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion carries 4-1 with Mr. Abusmail and Ms. Phelps absent.